Nutrition-related ideas for mothers. If you are sick, reconsider everything you are doing as a contributing factor. There is an ideology about sickness being eliminative. This tends to produce some confusion about sickness being healthy. Give yourself time to get entirely well before getting pregnant. C. Brown Sequoia bred injured guinea pigs and found that the offspring had a high rate of epilepsy and birth defects. Sickness or trauma, including surgery, can bring on a chronic state of stress, which involves depletion of many nutrients. A few months of extra nutrition and avoidance of new stress can restore the body's reserves. Pregnancies should be spaced. 2 or 3 years is usually adequate to allow the body to replenish itself with nutrients and new tissue. Studies have been done of the parents of very outstanding people, and on the average the parents were several years older than the general average. Both social and biological factors are involved. Studies of the biological factors suggest that the optimum age range for the mother is between 27 and 37. In higher social classes, with better environmental support, the average baby is heavier, healthier, and more alert, and has a higher probability of surviving to adulthood. The optimum age increases as income goes up. That is, in Guatemala the safest age for both mother and baby might be 19. In the U.S. ruling class, it might be 39. On the average, each baby up to the 4th or 5th is bigger and healthier. But then there is a sharp decline in the average. It is at this point, which suggests that reserve nutrients have been depleted, that twinning and Down syndrome become more likely. The mother's teeth also tend to fall out at that point. Calcium and vitamin B12 are centrally involved in the apparatus of cell division. Close spacing of pregnancies, poor nutrition, stress and toxins including alcohol and smoking are all known to increase the rate of birth defects. Anxiety, as in schizophrenia, decreases uterine blood flow. It is known that women who become pregnant while they are schizophrenic selectively abort the more fragile male embryos. The orgasmic pleasure state is not compatible with anxiety, and would seem to guarantee a better blood, and thus nutrient, supply. Good sexual attitudes probably optimize transplacental nutrition. Alcoholic fathers seem to produce as many birth defects as do alcoholic mothers. There are probably other more subtle nutritional effects acting through the father. But so far there isn't much clear information on this. The mother's brain and the mother's liver both seem to make specific contributions to the baby's nature. Both have profound effects on the ability to make sugar available for the development of an optimum baby. Estrogen is regulated, centrally or crucially, by the liver. Estrogen, progesterone, iodine, sugar and stress are closely linked with each other, and with brain development. Copper and iron can be toxic. Pregnancy and nursing increase all nutritional requirements. With the possible exception of vitamin D, copper and iron, it seems to act like vitamin D, improving calcium deposition. Calorie intake should increase slightly, e.g., 200, in pregnancy, and considerably in nursing, e.g., 1000. Zinc, folic acid, B12, and probably B6, and vitamin E requirements are increased more by pregnancy than by nursing, while protein, other B vitamins, calcium, iodine, and probably magnesium, vitamin A, and possibly fats, are needed in larger amounts for nursing. Coffee, tea, and colas. Coffee, cocoa, and cola are flavorings made from seeds, and tea of course is an extract made from certain leaves. This means that they must contain nutrients as well as drugs. This fact that an extract made from plant or animal tissue contains nutrients is very commonly overlooked. Even the companies that sell the products incorrectly describe them as containing no nutrients, except the other materials they add to the flavoring. For example, Coca-Cola claims that phosphoric acid and sugar are the only nutrients in their product, yet a standard textbook indicates that Coke is rich in potassium, while Pepsi has more sodium than potassium. In a study of the thiamine content of dark roast coffee, it was found that 1 or 2 cups provide the minimum daily requirement of vitamin B1. Leaves contain magnesium, potassium, vitamins A, K, E and Q10, ubiquinone, as well as other trace minerals and the B vitamins, so all kinds of tea must contain moderate amounts of these nutrients. About 20% of dietary niacin and manganese can be provided by coffee. In Russia, green tea is often prescribed for its vitamin P or rutin content. Seeds and leaves often contain chemicals which bind materials such as magnesium, zinc, and calcium. But these will break down and release the minerals under various conditions. The fermenting process in tea manufacture, for example, should have this effect. Some nutritionists have noticed that caffeine is said to raise insulin levels in the blood, and from this have reasoned that, since insulin promotes the conversion of glucose to fat, caffeine must be avoided in a reducing diet. Caffeine has a reputation for raising blood pressure, but the evidence is not clear on this point. It seems to be an individual matter whether it will raise or lower blood pressure. Caffeine, in fact, is prescribed in doses equivalent to 2 to 4 cups of coffee, 200 to 400 milligrams. To relieve hypertensive headaches, coffee improves circulation to the brain. Benjamin Franklin and Goethe are said to have used 30 to 65 cups daily. This amount would be close to the maximum safe daily dosage of caffeine, 6 grams, Bennett and Bondi. Principles of Internal Medicine, page 795. Very small doses of caffeine have a paradoxical sedative effect, but this is a familiar effect of anything which raises the brain's energy level. Caffeine, which doesn't necessarily have the same physiological effect as coffee, stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and raises the cellular level of cyclic AMP. Both of these effects promote lipolysis, the removal of fat from storage for use. This may account for the fact that coffee has been found to lower serum cholesterol and triglycerides, while raising the level of free fatty acids. Increased lipolysis would seem to be desirable in connection with a reducing diet. Incidentally, estrogen lowers the level of cyclic AMP in most tissues. Since both caffeine and adrenaline raise the metabolic rate, fat is presumably being consumed more rapidly. Adrenaline is known to raise blood sugar, apparently by inhibiting the utilization of glucose and increasing the utilization of fat. Coffee normally raises blood sugar, by its adrenaline-like effect. In this case, the level of insulin doesn't seem to be the primary factor regulating carbohydrate metabolism. However, during fasting, coffee and/or adrenaline might speed the depletion of the glycogen reserves and thus speed the appearance of hypoglycemia. Many of these studies seem to indicate that coffee would be a valuable part of a reducing diet. But since the results are so contrary to common knowledge, there will have to be more experimental work done. Other factors, such as the habit of sweetening coffee, also have to be considered. An interesting study in the USSR suggests how complex these experiments can get. Animals were fed either boiled water or unboiled water. And it was found that the animals receiving boiled water had significantly higher serum cholesterol levels than the animals drinking unboiled water. Caffeine acting through nerves as well as directly, can increase immunity. Injected into an animal's brain, it was found to slow the growth of cancer. It was recently discovered accidentally that a very small amount of caffeine mixed with the tars from cigarette smoke prevented that material from causing cancers. It was also found, in an experiment with cultured cells, that caffeine prevents the multiplication of a cancer-causing virus. Caffeine stimulates the thyroid, and hypothyroidism can cause extreme susceptibility to infection. Epidemiological studies show that heavy coffee drinkers have no more heart disease, or other sickness, than non-drinkers. However, black women seem to be protected against heart attacks if they drank coffee. Still, coffee makes many people anxious and can produce a stress-like reaction. Whether to use it or not is largely a matter of choice. One woman's typical diet for a day soon after waking: a piece of fruit. For breakfast, an egg and cereal or toast, using pre-soaked grain for the cereal or bread, milk on cereal, butter on toast. 2 hours after breakfast, a snack of cheese, 1/2 ounce, and raw carrot. For lunch, a tuna salad, fruit or milk, if more calories are needed. For supper, maybe oyster stew and a salad and a potato, or a chicken breast, well-boiled spinach or broccoli, and fruit. Just before bed, another snack of milk and fruit. Exercise. In the 1950s, a national survey revealed that physical competence in the U.S. had deteriorated, but it took J.F. Kennedy's example to make exercise popular. While jogging became popular for preventing heart disease, we were frequently told by experts how many miles a person has to run to burn off a pound of fat. However, in Russia, physiologists always remember to include the brain in their calculations. And it turns out that a walk through interesting and pleasant surroundings consumes more energy than does harder but more boring exercise. An active brain consumes a tremendous amount of fuel. In the last century, Sechenov found that exercising one hand strengthens not only that hand, but also the other. Brain activity stimulates growth and alteration of tissues, such as the muscles. Once I decided to attend a modern dance class which began the next week. After 2 or 3 days of visualizing myself in unusual postures and movements, my muscles started feeling the way they do the day after a long hike, though I hadn't actually done any exercise. This effect of nerves on other tissues is called the trophic effect. It actually changes the chemical composition of muscle, its weight, and other properties. In the US, yoga is usually thought of either as a system of exercises or as a strange sort of religious practice. However, at least some of the Hindu yogic traditions considered visualization to be the point of the exercise, and recognized that the body could be powerfully influenced by mental activity. Recently, psychologists have claimed that attention and visualization can cause breasts to enlarge. Even sensory nerves, such as the pain-sensing nerves in the cornea of the eye, have a powerful trophic influence, so maybe it isn't just a myth about massage being useful in reducing. Bright lights also stimulate hormone production and energy metabolism, and increase muscle tone. Many dietitians claim that exercise doesn't increase the need for protein. But the Russians have found that a combination of exercise and increased protein intake can increase the muscle mass. In a woman, this process can not only improve grace and body proportions, but it also increases the body's ability to burn up fat. Other nutrients are needed for using protein properly, and for maintaining optimum nerve functioning. However, if the exercise produces too much stress and not enough muscle action, muscles will atrophy as a result of cortisone's shifting amino acid metabolism into glucose production. Lactic acid production, getting out of breath, is the main signal of the need to produce new glucose. Therefore, aerobic exercise is the most stressful. Cortisone not only causes atrophy of skin, muscles and immune system, but it even has been found to accelerate aging changes in the brain. Stress uses progesterone and can cause menstrual periods to stop. Girls who begin regular exercise, such as dancing, before puberty have later sexual development. Exercise increases blood clotting, and so can increase the risk of strokes and heart attacks. Some doctors have been reporting increased incidence of flat feet, varicose veins, and prolapsed uterus among joggers. Walking is a better form of exercise.